rebel force has penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
All right, chut. Welcome back, everybody. Rebel Force Radio. Our first regular show since returning from Nashville at ICCC. We did do a Kenobi after show last week. Hope you had a chance to listen to that or watch it on YouTube. We told you have to subscribe to us on YouTube and hit the notification bell to know when we're going to be, because sometimes these decisions are, they're game day decisions. Do we do a regular show? Do we dedicate the whole time to breaking down a trailer? Yes, we said last week. We had a great time. Great calls, as always. I mean, we just have the smartest and best audience in all of Star Wars, I think, and some really good theories and hopes and aspirations about this show, which is not that far away. Kenobi will be premiering on Disney Plus on May 27th. A lot of us are going to be in Anaheim, California for the big premiere. I'm sure they'll do a whoop-de-doo while we're all there, but we will definitely be bringing you a live Kenobi after show for those first 2 episodes that'll be premiering on the 27th. I don't know exactly where we'll be, but we'll be somewhere with an internet connection. But anyway, that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. This week, we got a great show for you. We're going to, as I mentioned, it's our first regular show back since ICCC. We're going to have some highlights coming up, and we'll tell some stories about the goings-on there. But there's some news. We've got some new info about Kenobi coming straight from the mouths of guys like Hayden, Christensen, and Ewan McGregor. So that's all coming up. You don't want to miss it. And you certainly don't want to miss this guy, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. Still have that Nashville chicken taste in my mouth, burning my taste buds. No, I didn't eat any of that stuff when we were out there. I refuse. We got some good barbecue, I absolutely refuse. We had some great barbecue at Edley's on Main. That was fantastic. Highlight of the trip. Of many highlights during that trip. So yeah, I
think that was the food highlight. Definitely the food highlight was Edley's.
It was for me. Yeah, that was the best food. But we'll be talking about all the goings on in Nashville, what we did, who we saw, what we bought, and highlights from the podcast stage where we were lucky enough to have a full house for that one. People were even standing up along the walls and stuff. So that was
standing room only. Every entertainer's dream.
So, of course, that full show can be seen on YouTube at Rebel Force Radio on YouTube. Check us out, as Jason said. Subscribe. Give us thumbs ups. And comment.
Yeah, we that's something that we keep forgetting. I keep forgetting to remind folks to do, because those YouTube algorithms, they like comments. That's right. I think a lot of RFR listeners, they're used to not leaving comments. They write us, they email us, or they post something on social. Yeah. But the comments are one way that YouTube looks for engagement. So when we know you're engaging, we see the emails, we see the comments on social and all of that. But yeah, throw something on the old comments section on the videos. That's a huge help to us. Speaking of comments, we got some comments coming up right now from a Rebel Force Radio listener.
You must contact me.
Play back the entire message.
What message?
Message, Arthur, the message.
The Emperor commands you to make contact with him. It's a trick. Send no reply.
Hey, Jason, Jimmy, this is Danny from SoCal. I was just calling in to give you guys a question that I had. I was watching the Kenobi after show that you guys had going for the trailer, and thought occurred to me. Do we know for sure that that Obi-Wan and Yoda and all them know without a doubt that Anakin was killed when Obi-Wan fought him on Mustafar? Or do you think we're going to have an Ahsoka moment where she's doubtful, or Obi-Wan is doubtful of like, no, that can't be Anakin. He's dead. And then come to find out that he is in fact Vader. Or is there something that I'm missing that actually shows that they known this whole time that he is Vader? So yeah, I just wanted to get that to you guys. Thanks for everything you guys do, and look forward to hearing your answer. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks, Chris. I'm sorry, Danny. Chris. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate the call and the question. So the question on the table is, do we know definitively if Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda believe that or understand that Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker are the same person? In other words, is it possible that we meet a Kenobi in this series that believes that Anakin died on Mustafar? I say it's unlikely. I don't think this has been covered in official current canon. It was covered in Legends.
Yeah.
And we talked about it a little bit on the show. It was a junior novel, and it was a cool scene where Obi-Wan is in the cantina and sees a holonet of Darth Vader, and at that moment realizes that Anakin did not die on the lava shores of Mustafar. Again, that was Legends. I'm hoping, Jim, that we get to see the definitive canonical moment when Obi-Wan Kenobi realizes that Darth Vader is still out there and that it's Anakin. I think it's established enough in Revenge of the Sith because Yoda even makes the comment out loud that Anakin is no more Darth Vader, a new apprentice he has, Darth Vader.
And of course, after the Obi-Wan and Yoda make it into the Jedi Temple and they're reviewing security holograms, they see Palpatine with Anakin on his knee in front of him, saying, Darth Vader, you've done well, things along those lines, He flat out calls him Darth Vader, Lord Vader. And
don't they actually see the coronation?
No, it kind of looks like that because he does take a knee, but it's following the massacre at the Jedi Temple when Palpatine gives him props and calls him Lord Vader and all of that. And that's caught on the hologram. So Yoda and Kenobi hear this. They know that he's going by the name Darth Vader.
Yeah.
They know this. Yeah. But Kenobi thinks he's dead when he leaves Mustafar. He sees Anakin catch on fire and he doesn't anticipate Palpatine's going to show up.
Right.
He looked dead as a doornail by the time Kenobi left Mustafar, a very burnt up doornail. There was a junior novel, a junior novel that came out that did, I think, was it called Fate of the Jedi? I can't remember, but I also remember in the novel Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader by James Luceno. That also has that story about Kenobi being at the cantina and he sees this Holo News broadcast or something. If I remember correctly, it's a story about Darth Vader defeating insurgent forces on Kashyyyk. And the Wookiees are branded as traitors to the Empire, and Vader is lauded as a hero for shutting down all of the uprising going on Kashyyyk.
Those savage Wookiees.
Right. I think it would be a missed opportunity, big time, if they didn't have that moment of revelation for Kenobi, realizing that Anakin had survived. Darth Vader is alive. Though that'll really blow things because he clearly doesn't show any grasp of that knowledge after he leaves Mustafar. He never says anything, we have to protect the children from their father. He never says anything like that.
No, the assumption is that Anakin / Vader, if Obi-Wan didn't walk away believing that he was dead, he believed that he was about to be dead. There was no way out for him. He was laying there, he's limbless, and he's on fire. And he just couldn't stand there to, finish watching this end. I mean, I've often wondered, like, why didn't he just finish the deal? I mean, he
right.
let
Wouldn't
him
that
lay
have
there.
been? Wouldn't that
merciful.
have been the humane approach? Now, I know that these two were connected like brothers, and that would be very hard to do. But just turning your back and walking away is that's cold. That's just cold. That's the coldest thing on Mustafar for sure, is turning the back on Anakin as he's laying there on the lava shores burning up. Yeah, you maybe give him a little Dooku treatment with his own saber too. Little scissors. You got the Obi-Wan and you got the Anakin scissors, and you just cut his head off. It'd be like poetic justice.
Yeah,
and Anakin would probably be like, "Do it, do it."
Yeah, would George? I think that George would have.
That's dark.
It's dark. Yeah, exactly. It's too dark. That the mercy killing. And I don't think that it was, because I've heard people say, well, he just couldn't bring himself to do it. I don't know that was it so much, because bringing himself to putting him out of his misery versus bringing himself to walking away while he burns to death, I mean, either way, it's not a great thing. It is, like you said, humane. It's not a real humane thing to do, but, It is, it's a very, very important event for all of us. And I was telling my kids, I said, we're going to be doing a prequel rewatch leading up to Kenobi, because it's worth it, because that is such a critical scene in understanding, obviously where we're going to find Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I know we all think it's a funny thing. I fall into this trap too, where you think you remember it all because you've watched the movie 500 times, all the Star Wars movies.
Sure, yeah.
But, hey, a few months goes by, maybe a year goes by, and you don't, watch them or watch all of them. And you do forget little things. And sometimes they run together a little bit. And so, yeah, I think it's important for all of us to do some homework.
And now with all the subsequent stories that have been told in the wake of these films, some of the dialogue takes on different meaning when you rewatch it.
Right.
So that's something I've always enjoyed, watching Star Wars evolve that way. These movies, sure, they've been in the can for decades, but they're still organic and growing in a way, because the saga keeps getting expanded upon.
Yep.
So it changes your perspective when you go back and watch.
Sure
That's
does.
for sure.
Do you have time for one more voicemail? Because it's a good one. It's a good one. And I thought you, Jim, of all people, would appreciate this question.
All right, let's hear it.
Hey, guys, this is Bryce from Logan, Utah. Quick thought. What do you think the chances are that Natalie Portman shows up in a Padme/Anakin flashback in Kenobi? It's kind of out there, but I think it might be the big reveal for this series. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye.
I got to say, Jim, until we got this voicemail, I hadn't considered it. I hadn't really even thought of it. But after hearing this, I think absolutely. I think we will definitely see Natalie Portman reprise her role. Because keep in mind, it wasn't that long ago that she started talking about, well, I've got kids now, and they're asking questions about Star Wars, and I think our films have really, I don't think she uses the term aged well, but she basically is saying that I think that, fans have accepted the movies, and she's accepted her role in the Star Wars universe. She seems to be at peace with this aspect. But man, I mean, she's a big Hollywood actress. It's a lot of cash to throw Natalie's way to make sure that for a flashback or something. I mean, maybe they could just CG her. I mean, why deal with having
why even deal with any actor?
Yeah, why? I mean, that's what you think that George wanted to create aliens and different things. No, George just wanted to create human actors that were in a computer, so he didn't have to deal with other crap.
Yeah, easier to direct, and then it just unleashes all the possibilities because you could have non-actors acting in movies. Like, I want to see Muhammad Ali as a member of the Jedi Council, things like that.
Amazing. That'd be amazing.
So great. He'd be there rhyming.
I want to deal with pixels, not feelings.
Muhammad Ali on the Jedi Council. He'd be there rhyming.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta ask for a favor before I pull out my lightsaber. What I'm gonna have to do is bring the Force down on you, fool. All right, but Nat, have you seen the pictures of Natalie Portman as Thor? Have you seen those?
I have seen those. Those. She looks tremendous. She's in incredible shape. Well, she's always been in great shape. I mean, she's always been stunningly beautiful. But you bring up Thor. She's very involved in another big tentpole series for Disney. I think it all adds up to a good possibility that there's a cameo. Because if we are going to be doing what Hayden Christensen has said in recent interviews about getting inside Vader's head, in his, under the helmet, in the psyche, this character right here, Padme Amidala, she's a huge factor in what's going on in his head. I think so.
Yes. And of course, Star Wars is such a machine now. You don't turn it down, especially if you're one of these legacy actors whose career basically started in Star Wars. Basically, they owe their careers to Star Wars. I mean, let's face it, it's...
Uh-oh. Oh, boy.
What did I say? Okay, I said she owed her career to Star Wars.
We're not even broadcasting.
So I know it's her.
How does she
it says
do this.
Hold on.
All right, I know how this goes.
Nat, hey, whoa!
She's coming in hot. She's coming in hot, folks.
Swank. You can't talk to Swank because he called me, and I'm in my studio. I could relay a message to him. Oh, I can't say that. I can't say that either.
He's probably said worse to me.
Well, no, I appreciate your thoughts and feelings. And, well, I know you're Thor now. And you make a great Thor, let me tell you. Don't I'm not patronizing you, Nat. I mean it. I thought you looked fantastic. But we just want to see you come back and play Padme.
Our listeners do.
Oh. Okay. All right, well, maybe we... Hello? Nat? Hello?
Natalie.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye. That was Nat.
Was it now? Was it now? Did she spill the tea? Did she spill the blue milk?
She sends along her best. To you, Jason.
Oh, I'll bet she does. I'll bet she does.
But she feels like there's too much misinformation out there about her relationship with Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
And she wants to keep it that way.
Oh,
I thought it was the strangest thing that anyone ever said to me, but she's like down with misinformation. So I said, you should get more active on Twitter, Nat. Well, I was going to say that, but then she got pulled away. She had to go. And so she regretted having to cut the phone call short.
Oh, I do.
But she's
too.
very busy person. You have to understand. And to me, it sounds like there is a possibility she's going to return as Padme and possibly a streaming series or something. I mean, we saw Harrison Ford come back after so many people were convinced that Harrison would never come back to the role. People are convinced that he only came back to the role because Kylo Ren killed off the character. That's not true. There's no basis for truth in any of that. If that was true, then why did Harrison come back for The Rise of Skywalker?
Right.
Yeah, so no, Harrison Ford wants to work. He likes getting scripts. He's almost 80. He likes getting scripts sent to him to be an action hero, a leading man in a film. he doesn't take any of that for granted at all. Trust me. And if they asked him to play Han Solo 500 times, he will play Han Solo 500 times. As a matter of fact, I think Harrison he signed on for some series or something. It's going to be on Netflix or on one of the streaming things. His first ever series. He's never done anything as a regular ongoing role in a television series. And this is going to be a streaming thing. Huh. I don't know. It just suddenly occurred to me that I had heard that news recently. And,
I had not heard that. Yeah, the man is almost 80. Of course, we're all anxiously awaiting the new Indiana Jones movie, which I guess there's going to be an indie panel at Star Wars Celebration.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
well, that makes sense.
I had heard that there was going to be likely a title reveal of the new movie, because we don't know.
Oh, yes.
It's Indiana Jones and the something.
We did hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there has been no announcement made about a panel yet.
No. It might be one of those, spontaneous things that happens. You're going to have to be in the right place at the right time. Like that John Williams concert they did. Remember that?
Oh, yes. We were in the hotel room watching that, eating $50 omelets for breakfast. We were in the wrong place at the wrong time, for sure.
Indeed, we were.
But, okay, so this show I think is called The Staircase.
Okay.
And it's going to feature Harrison Ford. And is that a film or is this a series? I'm trying to do this on the fly because I heard this news earlier and it wasn't anything.
It's a series.
Yeah. Docu-series.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I just saw that Colin Firth is replacing Harrison Ford.
Oh, no.
In this series.
How old is this story? May 11th. Oh, this is breaking news. From Harrison Ford to Colin Firth. The Staircase producers discussed the difficulty of casting Michael Peterson, who is, I'm sure, the lead character in this show, The Staircase. This is Entertainment Weekly reporting this. Why did Harrison have to... We parted ways because he had to go do an Indiana Jones.
Is that right? Well, he's been making that movie for the last 3.5 years, so I would imagine that it has put a crimp on his schedule.
What do you mean reshoots? I'm supposed to do The Staircase. Michael Peterson.
Okay, I'm telling you, if you're writing a series and you need a guy to play Michael Peterson, a North Carolina crime novelist accused of murdering his wife, I mean, who else are you going to get?
Right, I mean, this
is perfect for that. I didn't kill my wife.
Right, it's The Fugitive. It's The Fugitive 2.
That's great.
The man with one arm is going to be in it.
Yeah. So everybody loves a good reunion film. That's what it is.
So Harrison now not going to be in this.
Colin Firth. I love Colin Firth. He's a great actor. But man, it would have been nice to have had Harrison on a weekly series like that.
He'd never done it before, Yeah.
It's
time to start a new chapter in his career as he enters into his 9th decade of existence.
Incredible.
What have I done yet? No.
Incredible.
Well, there's reports. Mads Mikkelsen told some media. Mads is in the new Indiana Jones. That's gonna be right. He said that Harrison had just this wicked after shooting workout routine that involved weightlifting and biking and all of this stuff. And it's like,
really?
God, meanwhile, I'm in my 50s. I struggle taking the cap off of the milk container some mornings, and Harrison Ford's riding his bike around the planet. What
I tell you what,
going on?
It's so true. I mean, I get up in the morning and there's a jug of water on top of the refrigerator, and it's part of my routine. I walk out, I stumble into the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition. No, I grab, and it's like, this thing gets heavier every day. I swear to God. Harrison Ford, 80 years old.
Not for Harrison.
No, no way. No way.
But he is Harrison Ford, so we all can't be Harrison Ford.
No doubt. No.
I used to hear stories about him having back problems when they were shooting Return of the Jedi. That big sandstorm scene was the first thing they shot for Return of the Jedi, the deleted scene. And apparently Harrison had to be delivered to the stage in a wheelchair because he was having back spasms. And, he was only in his 30s then. And so that gives me a lot of encouragement as someone who sometimes experiences back pain.
It's just a setback, minor setback.
Harrison Ford overcame it, and he's riding his bike around the planet. And
well, he does have
Indiana
that young
Jones.
wife, And
well, yeah, but I mean, Ally McBeal, she's my age. So I don't know how I mean, to him it's young.
Yeah,
She's
it's all
young,
relative. But you know what? Here's the thing I think that I've figured out by watching guys like Harrison Ford, for example. Just don't retire. Do what you love and don't retire. I feel like retirement, but is like death. I never want to retire. I always want to be doing something. Now, it doesn't mean I want to be doing the day job until I drop necessarily, but I always want to be doing something that I'm passionate about, that I can express myself with, and that I find meaning and value. That's one of the secrets.
So just don't stop.
Don't stop.
Keep plowing ahead.
Yeah.
And stay active. That's the trick. Stay active. My parents are in their 80s. They stay pretty active.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from watching them. And that's very important. Stay active. Be a Harrison Ford. Find your inner Harrison Ford.
All right, we're going to find our inner Ewan McGregor here as we go to headlines.
I have good news for you, my lord.
That's good news. Come closer, I have good
news. We saw him over at ICCC Con. We'll have more from Ian McDiarmid in just a few moments. But first, we want to talk about Kenobi and the trail, the PR trail that Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen find themselves on. And Jim, there have been multiple sightings, and microphones are in front of their faces, and they're going on record talking about this series. Finally.
There are actually a few of the leads, Hayden and Ewan, along with Moses Ingram and director Deborah Chow. They recently did a tour of Munich, Germany to promote Kenobi.
Okay.
The hotbed of Star Wars fandom in Munich, Germany. Well, Kenobi was there, and there was a moment when some media were allowed to ask some questions, and somebody asked Ewan McGregor if he had any thoughts about how the prequel trilogy has aged. Let me just put it that way.
Okay.
How the prequel trilogy has aged. And so Ewan discussed a little bit about living with the prequel criticism from back in the day and how fans now embrace the prequel trilogy. It's too many trilogy.
Because I guess you were a kid when our films came out.
was, yeah.
You're right. So we sort of made them for you, and it was an odd experience to make those movies. Those films were critically not liked very much, or they weren't written very nicely about, by the critics. But what we didn't hear at the time was people your age, your generation. We now meet those people now who really love our films,
Yeah.
And it's so nice. It's really nice. It's changed my outlook on my relationship with Star Wars. It's different because of that, I think. And be passionate about it, and then for the films not to be very well received was really tough. So it's really lovely to have this new relationship with them now. And I'm glad that, and watching them again, I hadn't seen them since they came out, in preparation for this show, to watch them again was really cool. I like them, I like them. Our episode 3 is really good. It's a really good movie. And
It's a phenomenal film.
Yeah.
It's non-stop action.
Yeah.
But it's obviously so gratifying for Ewan, but it's gratifying for me as a fan that lived through all of that. And then, for it to come back around, and for guys like Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen to get the kind of love from the fans, no matter what generation of fan they are, to receive that. and they, while they're still alive, that's nice. And not only are they still alive, but then coming back into the franchise the way they're doing. And Ewan McGregor is a guy that doesn't seem to really pull any punches. Jim famously, he laughed when he heard the Attack of the Clones title, and he tells it like it is, I think. So this Ewan that is seeing the other side of fandom, the brighter side of fandom, it sounds very sincere. It sounds like he's enjoying it very much.
He is sincere. That's a good word to describe the guy. And I love the sound of his voice. He's got a very nice sounding voice, Ewan McGregor. You did hear Hayden there at the end of that clip backing up Ewan.
Is that
the clip? Yeah, you hear Hayden. Ewan says, our episode 3 was a great film. And Hayden says it was a phenomenal film.
Okay.
And everyone laughs, everyone laughs. But Hayden doesn't, he doesn't really, he doesn't seem like he's goofing. People are, laughing because it's an actor talking about his own film in such glowing terms. But still, he followed up. He says, it's loaded with action. It's filled with action. And Hayden seemed pretty serious about it. Hearing Ewan talk about how his relationship with Star Wars has evolved over the years kind of makes me think about the caller who asked us about Natalie Portman returning to the Star Wars franchise and the series or something. It's hard on these actors once they go through the Star Wars ringer and then to emerge on the other side. Sometimes they have a hard time getting work because they become so closely associated with their Star Wars characters. Sometimes the intense spotlight being shown on them at all times kind of breaks them down a little bit. The fan base can be relentless. There's a lot of things that can sour an actor's relationship with Star Wars. But now that we've had the time and separation, Ewan McGregor is looking back on it a little bit more fondly. And of course, he has spoken out many, many times throughout his career in interviews how he grew up a Star Wars fan. He was a member of the original Star Wars generation. He was there when Star Wars hit the ground like an atomic bomb. And so it made that impression on him. And he still carried it with him into adulthood, even though he signed on to do the films and everything. He had to have a professional separation and all of that. But now after all that, his time has passed and everything, he's more willing to embrace his personal passion for Star Wars that originated when he was a little kid. And so that might be something that an actor like Natalie Portman has gone through. We've heard about Ahmed Best going through a lot of that, only to return to Star Wars in that Jedi quiz show thing he did.
Right. You bring up a really good point about how oftentimes it comes down to reconnecting to Star Wars in a way that makes you remember being a kid. And so imagine, and Ewan even says this in this clip. He's like, you come into doing Star Wars and you're really passionate about it and you're excited about it. And then people say, write some not so nice things about it. It kind of, it hurts. So now he's had the ability to meet people who are in their 20s and 30s that grew up on the prequels. And they're talking to him about his movies the way he felt about the originals. And it's like, It took a couple of decades, but now finally he's got that moment that he was hoping he was going to get 20 years ago.
Yeah. I predicted this was going to happen a long time ago. I felt a shift maybe 5 years after the prequel trilogy wrapped up. Like 5 years after that wrapped up, I started to note, maybe a nostalgia growing for it. I had a feeling that the films were aging better than most people had assumed they would. And there is a certain timeless quality to them, which has always been beneficial for Star Wars. So those three factors all coming together really is something that I think has propelled the prequel trilogy into a higher status than it was when it originally came out. I think people didn't know what to make of it. The prequel trilogy really did kick off what we know as the modern franchise, entertainment franchise.
For sure. It hasn't stopped since then.
And I think people have become more comfortable with that notion of having not movies presented to you, but franchises being presented to you.
Yes.
And maybe in the late 90s, early 2000s, that notion wasn't really so prevalent. And so I think people roll with it a lot better now,
you know what?
Knowing that these big tentpole blockbusters are coming.
You know what weighed on my mind a lot with the prequels, and I think it contributed largely to my feelings at the time, both what I loved and my disappointments, was coming out of the dark times when you had no Star Wars and you knew the way George operated. My feeling was these movies were coming out was we were getting 3 more movies and it was done.
Yeah.
So every time a movie would come out and it wouldn't be exactly what I wanted, I'm like, oh God, there's only 2 more shots at this. 2 more shots to give me what I want. The next one comes out. Oh, I still didn't get what I want. And then the third one.
Right.
So I think that was weighing on a lot of our minds, those of us, who remember the times when there isn't Star Wars. It wasn't like a nonstop fountain like it is today.
Yeah. The opportunities to expand in mythology were few and precious.
Yes.
And
make them count. Make them good.
Yeah. And we were all under the impression that George was finishing what he started, not necessarily, jump-starting a franchise. That's not what Star Wars was all about.
Great point. All of his press was around finishing this saga.
Yeah. And saying, I better do it now before I'm in my 70s.
Right.
And don't have the energy to handle things like this anymore. But I don't know. I think George still does have I bet if they gave him the keys to the car one last time. But, it's hard to say. He hates directing. One of the most famous directors on the planet hates to direct. So I think that's been one of the major curveballs.
Beleaguered by everything.
Yeah, it's all burden. Everything is just exhausting to him. How he manages to make it through his day-to-day existence with all of his $1 billion. Well, that's the thing is, I was just reading an interview with Pete Townsend from The Who, the guitar player, and he was saying, yeah, when I was younger, I thought money was going to take care of all my problems. It doesn't do anything to solve my problems.
Yeah.
So, and his problems are deep.
No doubt.
Let's talk about what Hayden showed up in Germany wearing.
Oh, my God.
He's dressed all in black, looking pretty sharp, dressed all in black, really grasping at that Vader theme. The jacket itself is very Vader-like. It kind of has a pattern that's similar to the pants that Vader wears.
But
speaking of the pants.
Speaking of the pants, they're kind of like, they're real big and like, they remind me of something MC Hammer would have worn in the 90s.
But not nearly as stylish.
No, not nearly as stylish. So they're big and baggy, but they're short. He's like showing off his black boots. Your very astute observation to make with the Vader connection, because until you said that, I just thought this was a really bad fashion choice. But you've got the jacket, which has sort of this quilted look to it, which is sort of like the sort of the Vader padding, black T-shirt underneath, and there's a drawstring on these pants, so it's almost like they're, I don't know, like workout pants or something, and then like dress shoe, black boots, and then Ewan is looking like very preppy. Ewan for playing some of the roles that he has, he's always very well put together. And he's got this very preppy look with the khakis and like a collared jean jacket and a pair of nice leather shoes. And but yes, Hayden is looking very Vader-like.
Yeah, with Amish farmer pants on.
I guess. I don't know what's going on with these pants.
Those
terrible.
are rough. That might be some new fashion that guys like you and me, Swank, will never be able to catch up with that. That train, that thing leaves the station and we're still standing on the platform for sure going, like, what?
Right. Like if you saw a dude just walking the street with these pants.
Yeah.
you'd be like, what the hell is that guy wearing? But
be like, I'd stop and give him a couple of bucks.
Yeah, but
Here you
once
go,
you
bud.
find out it's a movie star, you go, oh, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, right, of course. Yeah, he'll wear stuff nobody wears. But yeah, very interesting. Ewan McGregor on the other side of the coin, though, very dapper and preppy looking in his ensemble.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of has a sort of a, I don't know what kind of look he's got, but yeah, the short pants apparently are very in because Ewan's got the floods going too.
Yeah, well, you want to show off the socks, and in Hayden's case, he wants to show off the boots. I get that, but they look like somebody just took a pair of scissors and just chopped them right off there.
Yeah,
the bottom, there's no taper to them.
Fail.
Just like stovepipes coming down. I don't know.
So there you go. So there's your Star Wars fashion update here on Rebel Force Radio. We're all about the fashion here. You guys know that. The fashion. Clearly. That's us. Yes.
Clearly.
Yes. Okay, so more Ewan McGregor, though. He's out and about. He's everywhere. He appeared on The Tonight Show on May the 4th. Made a special appearance on The Tonight Show and talked a little bit about what we can expect to see in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, specifically what his character of Kenobi is going through as the series begins.
Our first guest tonight is an excellent Emmy Award-winning actor.
No. I screwed it up.
That's Ewan McGregor, Tonight Show 001.
That is unedited.
All right.
And
wait a minute. I see another one.
unedited
I see another one,
and unfortunate.
001-1. I think this is the one we're looking for.
Hit it.
It's 10 years after the end of episode 3. I always thought there must be a great story between the last episode I made and Alec Guinness in episode 4 in A New Hope. And I was right. We found a really good story to tell in that time frame. So it's 10 years after the end of episode 3. You know, we've seen me at the end of episode 3 take Luke Skywalker to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru on Tatooine. And that's another story. But I take that baby there and drop them off. And so this is 10 years later, and the Jedi Order's all but been destroyed. Everyone else who wasn't destroyed in Order 66 is in hiding. So I've been, and I'm carrying the guilt, or Obi-Wan's carrying the guilt of having failed Anakin and lost Anakin to the dark side. So he's a bit of a mess. He's at a very low point. He's sort of in hiding. He's not being a Jedi. He's pretty bleak-minded. And then something happens, and he has to decide to help someone do something or not. That's the series.
There we go. So he's in this rut, and then something happens. He gets the hero journey. He gets called back to action.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't throw his laser sword over his shoulder and
wouldn't that be
say,
something?
no, I'm too depressed. I can't do
Wouldn't that be something? Jeez, could you imagine? No, this all lines up.
Yeah.
Exactly where it should be at the beginning of this series. He's despondent. He's alone. He's living in exile. His faith is shattered. He feels like a failure and believes in it too. He believes he's a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden he has a purpose again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody gave him a reason to exist. And
he has to decide whether to help or not, I believe is what Ewan said. Oh, do something or not.
Do something or not. Yeah. Well, he'll get to that threshold moment where he'll resist the call to action, and then he'll reach that moment that pushes him through the door.
Yeah.
Whether he likes it or not. And that's, fate and destiny and all that stuff, which of course always plays big in Star Wars, especially with the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he will have to meet his destiny. And that's what's going to happen. And it's going to happen in either the guise of a Luke Skywalker in danger, or be pulled off planet because Princess Leia is in danger, or abducted, or what have you. Those are my guesses. And I know there's spoilers out on the internet. I'm officially at my point where we're, 2 weeks away. So spoilers on the internet don't receive any attention from me, and I won't be talking about them on the show because now we're getting too close.
Yep.
Now the leaks really do stand a chance of being legitimate. And I want to enjoy this series as a fan. And quite honestly, I've already been privy to too much information. So let's just pull the reins back on that and think about where it's going to be at the beginning of the series. And hearing what Ewan says, that just, like I said, it lines up with exactly with where I think this character should be at the beginning of the series, and I hope we see some serious growth for the character throughout the series.
Boy, we joke about it, but if this does what Ewan's talking about, and it sets up a morbidly depressed Obi-Wan Kenobi who takes up the mantle and goes out and is the happy warrior, it's just going to throw more, I don't want to say shade, but it's going to just be it's going to really fly in the face of what we saw with the sequel trilogy. I really think that the more you create a contrast to what, to how a hero stays a hero or becomes a hero again, it's just going to make it even harder and harder to deal with, I think. But you can't let that stop you. You can't let that stop you from making good stuff. And hats off to them for not doing that. Like, you don't want them to say, well, we really can't do that because, in episode 8, we've got Luke and he decides not to do, you don't want that to influence storytelling, the future of storytelling in Star Wars. But it is going to be sort of the elephant in the room. For this guy, at least.
Well, I think we all sort of look at it through a similar lens, maybe, I wonder if there's going to be any sort of content in this series that might bolster some of the gaping holes in the sequel trilogy. I don't see how they could squeeze anything like that in. This is really in a tight period here between the prequels and the OT. It really has to stay on course as far as I'm concerned. And I think it will. I think it will. I'd be very surprised if we saw any elements of the sequel trilogy coming into play, but you never know. Yeah. Deborah Chow knows Star Wars, though. That's what the word from Ewan McGregor here is. He talks about working with Deborah on the set and how the vast knowledge of the saga really needed to have somebody there who understood what the road was that they were driving on.
I often come unstuck with fans when they start talking about planets, and I'm not as up to speed on everything as I should. I should probably get one of those Star Wars manuals, that tells you everything. But luckily on this series, we had Deborah Chow, who was our amazing director, and she really knows across all because now Star Wars has become. It's the movies, but it's also TV shows, it's computer games, it's novels, it's cartoon books, comics, and all of the storylines have to sort of match up. You can't have some fact in the video game that doesn't match up to the movie. So I would be totally at sea there, but she was amazing at knowing all of that stuff and guiding the writers as well with that.
Well, bodes well.
It does, but I bet there'll still be some contradictions along the way.
Oh, there always are. There always are. And I'm
unavoidable.
I've always put more emphasis on, the spirit of the lore versus the letter of the lore, getting, I know for some people, trooper armor and various vehicles and their classes and their distinctions and all of that means a lot in getting that continuity right. And I get it if that's your thing, but I'm much, much more about keeping the vibe and the tone and the like I say, the spirit of the lore than the, getting that encyclopedic knowledge is like, oh, all right, fine. It's impressive, but it's not everything.
And it's just such a small percentage of fans who actually follow each and every little bit of story being told. I'm probably guilty as being one of them myself. I know.
You devour a lot of it, most of it.
Yeah.
In some way.
Yeah. My enthusiasm has kind of drifted with the quality since the Disney purchase. I make no secret of that. I really feel like publishing has been just really bad over the last 10 years with diamonds in the rough, no question about it. And that's what I'm always looking for. And quite honestly, that's the way it really has been for a long time.
You've had some nice thing to say about the comics in over the last few years. There've been some comic series, I feel like.
There's been some highlights. The Darth Vader series from 2017 by Charles Soule being one of them. Currently, I think the comics are really meandering and just not going anywhere. It's they need to shift focus or something because it's just not working. I think bringing Kira into the original trilogy timeline just is a failure across the board.
Do you think it's possible, Jim, when the comics or the books kind of hit one of these points where they're almost afraid to do something? Could it be it's because there are plans afoot for other media to tackle maybe some of those stories or some of those characters and they get kind of stymied?
Well, I mean, even if there's not plans afoot, I think there's often conversation of, well, what if we want to do this with this character down the road? It's
right.
We have to be careful. So they're being real conservative, and that hurts the storytelling so much. And that has been a key factor in some of the poor quality fiction since the Disney purchase is the reluctance to take any risks, to push any stories into different directions. It's all just sort of like, I just read a whole novel to gather maybe tiny little bits of information that really don't matter in the big picture. And that's frustrating. I think the storytelling is the thing that is hurting the most here.
Yeah.
But it's still fun to read. And I still read it. I still keep up on it. A new Kenobi series has just launched to sort of tie in with the Kenobi Disney Plus series. I believe Marvel put out this series featuring Kenobi still in exile prior to the events of A New Hope. And he is writing things down in his journal. So you get these stories then from Kenobi's past being told in comic book form as old Ben is committing these memories to his journal. And that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think they have two paths forward, really. I think there's one path where they can continue to try and make all of this stuff tie together, in which case publishing is going to be lower on the totem pole. They're going to have, unless they come up with, which they're doing with High Republic, brand new characters in a new era, and that you don't really have to worry too much about the consequences of it in the, in the classic films and classic characters and all that too much. So they can continue to do what you said, I think, meander down this path and just hope they don't get in the way of something more important. Or we can just live with the fact that the comics are the comics, novels are the novels, and the films are the films, the TV series. I would like to see the live action stuff or the, maybe not live action, but the television and the films line up. I think they can do that. But at the rate that they're publishing the novels, junior novels, multiple series, there's no way. I mean, we talked about this back in the classic days of the expanded universe. I said it was just, they were never going to be able to manage it. It's because the volume's too much. So you're going to have it watered down, or do a lot more, or do the same amount or more, and have it, no flavor, or do less of it and give it lots of juice.
Mm-hmm. It's always been a slippery slope with these expanded universe books and things like that. But it was so valuable during the time when there were no Star Wars movies or shows. And those stories were really well thought out. Characters were developed appropriately. And the stories went somewhere. typically. I just don't get any of that from current publishing from Lucasfilm. I really think they need to clean house over there and get some fresh voices at the table or something. But,
same writers have been writing for an awful long time.
Yeah, it seems that way. So, get some fresh voices at the table. But this is also a situation of be careful what you wish for because,
the devil you know.
Oh, yeah. That's just it. That's it. So, you just try not to get too overwhelmed by it and have fun with the stuff you like. And I give it all a shot. Yeah. But I just wish it could suck me in the way it used to. And it might not ever be able to do that now with so many different streaming series, animated series. The films will come back eventually. It's going to be hard to fill those gaps with stories that matter from the pages of a book. So, Expanded Universe was so valuable, though, in those dark times before the special editions and the prequels and all that.
I used to like also what they did back in the days of the Clone Wars, and I think they were web comics, but where, they knew what episode was going to be coming up on the Clone Wars, and so there'd be a little story, a little comic book story you could read on the web. They would give you a little extra information about the episode. And to me, I think that's a fun way to do tie-in, where, if it definitely connects it directly to the core media, but it gives people who might not read a comic book a reason to do it because they like the series so much. Hey, if you're enjoying the series, check out what happened in between episodes in this, in this mini series. But, they don't do that. They do their own thing.
Yeah. I think that, that was Tom Hodges was the artist for those. Remember Tom?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes, Tom Hodges. And but to me, that I probably read all of those just because I was enjoying the Clone Wars, and I sometimes they would drop a name of a character that they wouldn't drop the name of in the actual episode, so you could learn some things.
Yeah. All of that web content with the first few years of the Clone Wars was really intense, fan-focused, and thorough.
Oh, yeah, the visual guides.
All those notes and guides and comics and so much stuff. And presented in a smart way, an intelligent way, where, you had the feeling that the people putting out this content really respected you as a Star Wars fan and was working on the same level as you. It wasn't dumbed down.
Yeah.
It was maybe a little more hardcore than what is generally accepted now from franchise entertainment. But
a lot of detail.
A lot of detail.
But, the way it worked, though, is it was there if you wanted it. It wasn't required. No, you could still enjoy the show without
supplemental.
It was exactly, that's the word, supplemental. And but it really did add a lot of things, especially when you're doing some of the things that we were doing with roundtables and all that. It was indispensable. It was great to have.
And we picked up a lot of knowledge, a lot of trivia along the way. And one thing I know Jason Swank picked up from all of our years of reading about Star Wars on the internet and whatnot is the fact that Ewan McGregor had a family connection to Star Wars via his uncle Dennis Lawson. Wedge! I know Jason knows this because when we interviewed Dennis Lawson, Jason brought this up. I was like, oh, yeah, Jason, thank God you remembered that. Because I would have been kicking myself if I went through an interview with Dennis Lawson and didn't bring up Ewan McGregor. But I mean, just when you brought that up, I was like, oh, yeah.
I later found out that that's not his favorite topic to discuss.
No, he sure seemed warm and open discussing the family relationship when we were talking.
I thought so, too.
But I think we charmed him. Yeah. I think we charmed Mr. Lawson. I really do. Because I've heard lots of stories about him being prickly about questions and things like that, but he seemed just such a fine gentleman with us, and I had the feeling we could ask him anything we wanted to.
Yeah, that was a good interview. We were in the pocket during that interview.
In the pocket. I love that. So Ewan McGregor brings up Uncle Dennis on The Tonight Show and tells a funny story about the first time he saw Star Wars.
But I remember standing outside the school. I was 5 or 6. And I was standing outside the school with my brother, and my mum and dad picked us up, and they were taking us to the big city to watch a movie that my Uncle Dennis was in. And so we went, and we were so excited to go and see, your uncle in a movie. It was so exciting. And then we sat down there, and it was Star Wars. It just sort of blew our minds away, Amazing. So he played a character called Wedge Antilles, and he survives all 3 of the original Star Wars movies. There he is, Wedge. Look at the size of that thing, he says as he comes in. That's my Uncle Dennis. And he's doing a musical in Great Britain at the moment. He's touring around, and they're going to be in the Barbican. Anything goes. He's doing it. So he's a real song and dance man, my Uncle Dennis, and he's always been my acting hero.
Wow. Okay. He's doing musical theater now, Dennis Lawson. That's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was a singer and a dancer. That's cool. And we got an impression.
Look at the size of that thing.
Look at the size of that thing.
Look at
I
this.
love it.
Yeah. In the audience, that wasn't lost on them. They knew what was going on.
Oh, yeah. They're like, look at the size of that thing, guy. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So Ewan McGregor, we expect to be hearing more from him on the talk show circuit over the next few weeks as Kenobi takes off on Disney+. And then, of course, you want to join us late night. I guess it would be the 27th. It would be the 27th, yeah, but it would be very early on the 27th. We're thinking like maybe 2 a.m. Pacific, going live with the very first Kenobi after show. It should be interesting.
Well, why not?
That will be very, very interesting.
Will.
But we've done late night shows in the past, and so this will be in the fine tradition of RFR late nights. Join us. It'll be streaming live on YouTube, should everything go correctly with our hotel hookup with internet. And we'll even be taking live calls. Tyler said he'll be manning the switchboard. So
I'm bringing all the gear. I'm schlepping all the gear. So we'll be doing it.
So that'll be great. Star Wars Celebration happening. Just 2 weeks away. We want you guys to join us for the RFR Rooftop Bash.
Oh, yes.
There are still a few tickets left. The RFR Rooftop Bash is happening May 25th on the rooftop of the Grand Legacy Hotel directly across the street from Disneyland at the bar called The Fifth, because it's on the 5th floor. The roof would be the 5th floor. But it's a bar, and we are going to be in there. We are taking it over on May 25th to celebrate the 45th anniversary of Star Wars. All ages are welcome. Doors open at 6, live podcast at 7, followed by Disney fireworks visible from directly across the street at around 9:30-ish. Early weather reports look good, Jason.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited for what's going to be an amazing night. Your tickets will include complimentary food. There will be a cash bar featuring Star Wars-inspired cocktails. We want you guys to break the bank at the bar. And let's party. Let's go nuts. Rooftop Bash, Anaheim 2022. Kicking off the whole week of Star Wars activities.
Man, and if the live show that we were able to do in Nashville was just a taste of what we're going to be doing in Anaheim, it's going to be a great time. I forgot. I always get very unnerved by doing those live shows with the audience there in front of you, but I always come out of it really having enjoyed it and go, gosh, are we done already? This is it?
Yeah.
We're just getting warmed up. So yeah, it's going to be like that in Anaheim. I can't wait. Lots of fun.
So you're right, Jason. We had the warm-up in Nashville a couple weekends ago at the ICCC, and Ian McDiarmid was there. He's also going to be at Star Wars Celebration. Ian was there, and the big word on the convention floor was that Ian was teasing a possible return of Palpatine during his panel. So we're like, what? This is crazy talk. I won't believe it unless I hear it. Well, we have the audio because the RFR microphones were there, and we reviewed the tape, and sure enough, Ian McDiarmid does bring it up. There's a picture Jason just put up of Ian on stage with RFR buddy Kevin Lyle, who is moderating the Q&A, and here's a clip of Ian McDiarmid talking about the possible return of Palpatine on a Star Wars streaming series.
I got lucky for the third time.
Are you going to get lucky for the fourth time? Or are you going to? No comment.
That's very interesting. I'm dead as a dodo. That's unquestionable. I'll never forgive Daisy Ridley for doing that to me. The ingratitude of the grandchildren. You know, you do everything for them, and what do? They incinerate you. But as you know, the universe is still alive, and he's around during certain periods when certain series are being constructed, or about to be constructed. So I have nothing to tell you, but who knows? Whether my physical presence will be there or not, my presence will definitely be felt.
My
presence
will be felt. My presence. His felt needs to be felt too.
Yeah. Puppet Lando will be at the RFR rooftop bash.
Yeah.
But so Ian McDiarmid saying that he's insinuating he won't be seen on screen necessarily, but his presence will be felt. Are we talking about a voiceover? Are we talking about holographic imagery?
Yeah. Well, I think he knows.
He knows something. He knows something. And the only way he would know is if he was involved in the production. Because we know Lucasfilm doesn't go and update their actors on things that they're doing with their characters unless those actors are directly involved in the production.
Right.
If not, then they hear about it from somewhere else. Going all the way back to Dave Prowse learning that James Earl Jones voiced Darth Vader.
Yes.
That was a big surprise because they keep these actors in the dark. They tell them what they need to know. They only give them certain pages of script just so they could learn their lines. They don't get the whole script. They don't hear the full story. So it's very uncommon for Lucasfilm to be keeping their actors up to date with what's going on with the characters. The only way that could happen is if the actors are directly involved in the production, and it sure sounds like Ian McDiarmid knows something, and that would indicate that he is directly involved in the production of a streaming series, and I'm guessing it's Kenobi.
Yeah. Yeah, and when he says physical appearance, he could show up as, it doesn't need to be anything more than a holo transmission. I mean, that's how we saw the Emperor for the first time, was a hologram. So Vader could be communicating with the Emperor via hologram. We saw that in Rebels. I think we saw it in Rebels, Vader communicating with the Emperor via hologram. So we do know also from the prologue to the Star Wars novelization, that at this time, Palpatine has basically become a recluse. He avoids being around people, and so I think Vader might be, one of the few that he might, physically. Yeah, there it is. Jimmy Mac doesn't go far. He's opening up his dog-eared copy of the original novel.
The prologue to the original Star Wars novel, released December 1976, 6 months before A New Hope would hit screens. It had this prologue. And the prologue is basically a simple outline of what goes on in the prequel trilogy as far as the political scheme of the universe. And this is always really interesting stuff, and I love reading this. Aided and abetted by restless, power-hungry individuals within the government and the massive organs of commerce, the ambitious Senator Palpatine caused himself to be elected President of the Republic, a.k.a. Chancellor. I put the A.K. in there. He promised to reunite the disaffected among the people and restore the remembered glory of the Republic. Once secure in office, he declared himself emperor, shutting himself away from the populace. Soon he was being controlled by the very assistants and bootlickers he had appointed to high office, and the cries of the people for justice did not reach his ears. So what that means, he was controlled by the assistants and bootlickers. It means, like, look at a guy like Tarkin. Who rises up in the ranks. And he's not really controlling Palpatine necessarily, but Palpatine is giving him full reign to do whatever he wants. Palpatine doesn't care about the political nature of the galaxy.
No.
All Palpatine cares about is being in charge.
Yes, exactly. He doesn't care what people believe as long as he's in charge. That's
right. And he's not worried with the way that the universe is being governed so much.
He's not an idealist. He's not a party man. I don't get the impression. He wants the circus to be going on so that everyone's distracted from what he's doing behind the scenes, which is finding a way that he can live forever and always be in control of the universe.
Yeah. Getting his Sith on.
Yeah, right.
That's what, but he had the power,
Right.
And he needs the power to give him a stronger connection to the dark side. He has to suck the galaxy dry for his own means. And the way he does it is via oppression and all of that. It's not carried out by Palpatine. It's carried out by his governors and Moffs and those guys. Right. He's keeping his hands pretty clean at the end of the day. But if people complain, if somebody's going to complain to Palpatine about Grand Moff Tarkin, he's never going to hear that.
Right.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, he's isolated. Is that the word that they use in the prologue? I think something about
or shut away or something like that. But he doesn't make public appearances very often. He shutting himself away from the populace.
Yeah. So in Return of the Jedi, when they're in the briefing room and Mon Mothma says that we've learned that the Emperor himself will personally oversee the construction, there's this hush.
Like, people can't believe it.
He hasn't been seen in decades.
Yeah, maybe
in public. Well, how long is it between Revenge of the Sith and
do we ever experience any public appearances from Palpatine? He shows up in Rebels, doesn't he? Don't they have him appear in Rebels like during a parade or something? He's on a billboard or something.
Yeah, but that's not in public, right? I mean, that's hologram. So I'm sure that he shows up as a hologram or on the Holo News with Anderson Cooper, but I don't think that he's doing anything where he's not out in the public. So it's all manufactured on screen with him.
I see Palpatine being more of an MSNBC regular than CNN. That's really? Just me. But no, I don't think he did much of that stuff. No. I don't even think he appeared in front of the Senate ever or anything like that.
No, I think his last public appearance has left me scarred
and deformed.
And then
that was his out.
Bowed out.
Yeah, I can't appear in front of people being all scarred and deformed like this. They understand.
Right.
Wow. So Palpatine, I do expect we'll get some encounter with him during the Kenobi series, possibly the Ahsoka series. I don't know. I think the Ahsoka series happens. We don't know where on the timeline the Ahsoka series happens. I'm assuming it's going to be post Return of the Jedi, and it's going to build off of her appearances on The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
It's going to be Mando timeline, I think.
Yeah. With perhaps flashbacks. Mm-hmm. We'll see how heavy they go with the flashbacks in the Kenobi series.
Well, Hayden Christensen is confirmed to be in Ahsoka, so there would have to be some sort of flashback there.
Yes.
It's exciting stuff. I think we'll definitely see some fit, whether he's standing there in front of Vader or not, who knows, but we'll definitely see Ian McDiarmid as Emperor Palpatine in the Kenobi series, for sure. And maybe it'll be Obi-Wan hanging out at the cantina and seeing that HoloNet broadcast of Palpatine. And Vader standing, maybe Vader will be standing right next to him.
Yeah, and Palpatine's lauding him as the hero.
Yeah.
Building him up in the public eye.
That'd be really cool. Really cool. I can't wait. I can't believe it's almost here.
Yeah, a couple weeks away.
All right, so as you all know, we're back from ICCCon, and it was the first time for both of us ever being at this particular convention. It's gone for several years in Nashville. And Jim, first of all, it was just great being able to hang out with you in person again. And we had a good time sitting around the pool after convention hours, having a few drinks, having a few cigars. And that's really, I love these conventions, but I think when I get home, the thing that I miss the most is just, the hang. I love the hang.
Is good, yeah. The hang is classic.
But the convention itself was fantastic. What a roster of guests. The first celebrity sighting that I had was in the parking lot, as in the hotel parking lot, and I got holding my son's hand, and we're walking across, and I see this car, and looks like it's, I don't know if they're going to stop or not. And they do stop, and there's Ashley Eckstein. And she kind of did the courtesy wave. And then there was a moment of recognition of, I remember that guy. And then the wave became a little more animated. And so, but that was all I got to see of Ashley. We did run into Matt Lanter a couple of times. Matt and his beautiful wife, Angela.
Oh, man. As we reported here on the show, and you guys have heard, Matt had a little health scare about a month ago.
Yeah.
And Matt wanted to show us photos of the physical manifestations of the health scare. He wanted to show us, and there were like exposed organs and things. And I'm kicking myself for not taking him up on that right then and there. Let me see, Matt. Let me see. But I felt so grossed out about it. I didn't want to look.
Yeah, and we didn't ask. I mean, he's like, it was pretty bad, and blah blah blah. You want to see pictures? Okay.
Yeah, we should have said, show us the damn pictures. I think we thought we were going to have a second chance at the pictures.
Right.
But it didn't happen. Because then the next time I saw him, I was walking out to the ride share with you guys when we were going out for dinner. And Matt was standing there with Angela at the valet stand. And so he stopped me. And I said hi to him and Angela. And then it was just like there were people there, and his car was getting pulled up, and Angela was there. So I didn't say, show me the picture of your guts.
No. Show me the guts.
And then I was happy that I didn't see them, those photos. But then when I got home, I said, man, I wish I looked. I feel like I'm missing something here.
That's how I felt after my two kids were born. Like, man, I should have looked.
I was wide-eyed at all that stuff. I couldn't believe that. But so it was great seeing Matt. Saw him a couple times. I saw Ashley briefly, like you, across the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get a chance to talk to her. I did get a moment with James Arnold Taylor, which was really nice. Talked to Anna Graves a little bit, the Duchess Satine.
Oh, yeah.
I had a few minutes with her, and that was really nice.
It was funny. She brought up the funeral that we had for Satine here on Rebel Force Radio. That seems to be a highlight for her. She still talks about that. Yeah.
That is funny. And so it was just like a really friendly convention. A lot of casual encounters, which you don't normally get at the big, giant corporate conventions, like the one coming up in Anaheim.
Right.
Everyone's going to be on lock and key there, you'd think. This convention, you could just be going to the bathroom and run into an actor or an actress from the films, or a chance encounter with a droid. There were just great photo ops. We have a sizzle reel up on our YouTube channel. Jason is showing some highlights from it right now of just some of the merch, the cosplay. There's a blue milk maid, blue milk maid. There's, people get so clever with some of that stuff, and I love to shoot video, take pictures of it. So planning on shooting a lot of similar video once we get out to Anaheim too. Put together a nice RFR sizzle reel of that one. Lightsabers came out at the pool at night.
Oh yeah,
which was
all
very
ages
exciting.
taking part. It's like a big ceremony practically, and getting able to see Kevin Lyle again, that was great. Chris Mocht was there, and Mark Barbian from Official Picks. It was nice to run into him.
Yep.
The Babu Freaks were there.
So many. I mean, you just turn around the corner and you bump into somebody and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I called into that show and said this and that. Oh yeah, you were that guy. Nice to meet you." There was a lot of stuff like that happening.
Oh, you know what? We actually got a voicemail here I want to play from
good.
A special encounter we had at ICCCon.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans, and a special chat to my favorite OBI-WAN Kenobi, Jimmy Mack. And yes, you did ask us to call you that. This is Chris, a.k.a. Solo Pirate on Facebook and Patreon and YouTube, as your friendly neighborhood Jimmy Mack cosplayer. And whoever said never meet your heroes, never met you guys. You guys are the real deal. I truly went to ICCC to meet you guys. So I just wanted to thank you for your coolness and meeting me there at the con. I'm still riding the high from the attention you gave me on stage at your podcast and taking a few pics and signing autographs for me. Those are worth far more to me than the $100 ones for all the big screen stars. So it was the coolest part of my weekend. Well, I hope you guys can make it to ICCC next year. I'm going to be there all maxed out again. So looking forward to the next podcast. And so you guys take care. And I love everything you do. You're truly a part of my Star Wars fandom. Take it easy. See ya.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Chris was a Jimmy Mack cosplayer. You can see a video of him cosplaying as me on the sizzle reel we have on YouTube. And also Jason just put a picture up here for our RFR All Access members who are watching this video podcast. It's pretty accurate. He's got the hoodie. He had a homemade microphone. And I don't often wear the RFR t-shirt under the hoodie, but sometimes I do. And he had a Chut shirt on underneath that. So he was working in layers. It was about 82 degrees in Nashville, but he was in layers.
He was committed.
Fully committed. He had the appropriate amount of gray in his beard.
Yeah.
Which was just only natural. So he did a great job. Thank you, Chris. I was honored and mortified by you cosplaying as me, but no, it was really very nice to meet you and your crew there. While me and Jason were sitting there at the bar. The bar, I don't think the bar was open at that time. We were just using it.
It's always open for us, Pally.
And we were just sitting there, like kind of prepping for our stage appearance, and Chris and his crew rolled up on us. It was very nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
Yeah, it was very cool.
I mean, the whole weekend was just that kind of vibe, fun vibe. Mm-hmm. Everyone was very friendly with each other. We bought a few things. I picked up a vintage Darth Vader a TIE fighter. God, what's the matter with me? X-Wing. TIE fighter. Yeah. And still in the box. And that'll be on display in my collection. And there were just a lot of fun things there at this event. A lot of good vintage and great prices. Just fantastic prices. We did conquer the podcast stage at ICCC. And like I said, had a packed house of the greatest Star Wars fans in the universe there. And an old friend of ours, Marcus Doring from the 501st, showed up in armor. And I saw him in the back of the room. Hadn't seen Marcus for a few years, and I thought I'd bring him up on stage. Little did I know that there was that Marcus had prepared an entire presentation, and I don't want to say anything else. I want you guys to hear this moment when a new member of the RFR family gets introduced live on stage at Nashville in front of an audience of awesome RFR listeners. So, Jason, we have the highlight, and we're going to give it a spin, and we'll come out from the other side of that with a new member of the family, I would say. Yes.
All right.
Hey, Marcus is here. Marcus from the 501st, ladies and gentlemen.
Look at him over there.
There he is. Look at him. There's a good. Come on up here for a second, Marcus. I want to say hi to you. Okay, you come. Can you?
I don't.
He's in full armor, ladies and gentlemen, and this might be difficult for him to get up on the stage. I don't know.
We have steps.
Yeah,
over
come
here.
on over here. We got steps. Marcus is an old friend of ours. He's from the 501st. As if you couldn't see, he's splendid looking in his pure white stormtrooper armor. And come on up. Come on.
He can't sit. He can't sit, but maybe he
All
can.
right, don't sit. But we'll just move the mic over here. Can he sit? Can he sit? Come on, give it a shot.
Oh, here he goes.
Ouch. Ow! Oh! Nope, it's not happening.
Hey, have you ever seen a stormtrooper try to sit down?
Look.
Now you know why.
Thank you, brother. I mean, I did want to ask you about any injuries you may have sustained. Can we move this up a little? Any injuries you may have sustained while out trooping?
Just your occasional armor bites here in the
Yeah.
when I like bend.
Have you seen the video of the stormtrooper falling down the stairs?
Yes.
Now, is anything like that?
No.
Well, I mean, without cameras, yeah, but I mean,
no, nothing.
Come on, just admit it.
No.
What's the? I don't know how to ask this question, but what was the weirdest thing you've ever done in stormtrooper armor?
I have some guys strap my crotch, but that's about it.
The line is forming now. So that's a little something we didn't know was going to happen here at the convention. But if people do want, I'm sure you'll maybe take a donation for a charity and they can come up and engage in that activity with you, right?
Correct.
Okay.
If you want to give it a shot live on stage, you're more than welcome to.
All right. Marcus is available for photo ops throughout the entire weekend here at ICC.
And crotch strapping.
Yes.
If you so desire. But the force is with him, and we're so happy to see
I have a
him.
question for you.
Yeah.
Does anybody know Puppet Lando?
Puppet.
Are you familiar?
Puppet.
Yeah. Puppet Lando couldn't make it.
Is he
No.
here?
He couldn't make the trip. Sorry. He will be in Anaheim, though.
Okay.
But Puppet Lando, he has a very busy schedule, as you could imagine. And
He's actually shooting a new music video.
yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Follow up to My Felt Needs to Be Felt. We're working on a Puppet Lando EP, actually.
Okay.
So maybe you can get the Legion behind that, and you can join us for the world tour.
Okay.
It's only 2 songs, so it's a very short show.
I have something for you.
What do you have?
Could you give me a hand?
Yeah.
Oh, what's?
Hold on. And I need you to look that way.
Okay. All right. Marcus has got something for us, and he wants me to look that way. I get nervous diverting my attention from a stormtrooper standing behind me.
Hold on.
Maybe it's.
Look.
You know, the Empire is oppressive and evil. You guys are the bad guys. I just want to point that out.
Okay.
Should I look? I don't know what's behind me, and I'm afraid to look. Should I look? Can I look?
Since Lando couldn't make it,
Uh-oh.
your other friend is here, and that's for you, my friend.
Oh, my God. It's Zero the Hutt. It's a Puppet Zero the Hutt.
Go ahead.
Puppet Zero, ladies and gentlemen.
Get your fingers in the straps. Do you
All right.
feel the
Oh, there's straps. I'm not a very good puppeteer.
Thank you.
All right.
Here we go.
Who needs the microphone? You and me.
I can hold it. I got you. Nothing. Nope.
All right, look at the puppet, not me. Hello there. A senator in this neighborhood. Oh, the horror.
I said, where did you get this? This is amazing.
I had it made.
This is crazy. I feel like I'm on some kind of weird. I mean, like, was something in this coffee? I don't know what to say.
That's
man.
incredible. That is absolutely
We're gonna
incredible.
milk this thing for all it's worth for years to come. Ain't that right?
That is
You damn straight.
That is definitely.
I love you, Marcus. I love you. I want to take him home with me.
He's all yours.
Talk about the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, you guys, this is crazy. This is crazy. Well, we're gonna have to practice. and come up.
He comes with his own box too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the
I don't
puppy.
know what kind of a recording career this guy's going to have.
Oh, it's like a Muppet.
Shocked.
See,
I can use the stick and everything.
For the hand,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say, Marcus. I'm blown away. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus scoring 501st.
Wow.
There
That
it is.
was some moment.
The debut of Puppet Zero happened in Nashville.
Yeah.
I haven't looked in the box since I got home.
Oh, you haven't?
Just because I fear that Zero will take over if I make him part of my day-to-day existence. There will be a very thin line between me and Puppet Zero. Oh, there's a picture Jason just put of Puppet Zero. Well, Puppet Zero will be making his debut performance at the RFR Rooftop Bash.
Yes,
in Anaheim.
yes.
And he will be available. He will be available for photo ops. And I want you guys to be there for the very first meeting of the two puppets. Puppet Lando and Puppet Zero will meet for the first time on stage.
Wow.
We're going to have to come up with some kind of activity for the puppets to take part in while we're on stage. I mean, they can't just be there, you know.
No, they got to have business.
We have to have puppet business.
Puppet business.
At the RFR
Go back to
Rooftop
your drinks.
Bash.
Puppet business.
Yikes.
Oh, my
So it should be
goodness.
very interesting. Thank you, Marcus. And that's very clever. And
sure is.
It should pay off dividends very, very soon. So that really was the biggest highlight of the weekend, going out to ICCC. And again, as we had planned, it would be a nice little dry run for Star Wars Celebration. So we'll be coming into Anaheim fully primed and ready to rock, as if there were no downtime at all. We'll be primed to have a great time. That's what's going to happen in Anaheim. We're just going to have a ball, and I can't wait to meet as many RFR listeners as possible.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Do you want to get into this, talk a little bit about the Book of Boba Fett Disney Gallery?
I do.
Good.
I do.
Let's do
we
it.
got time.
For sure. For sure.
So, while we were last week, while we were so focused on the Kenobi trailer, the Book of Boba Fett Disney Gallery behind-the-scenes special dropped. And there were some good highlights in there. And one, of course, is Kathleen Kennedy here talking about George Lucas's actual influence being felt when it came to casting for the series.
Yeah, I thought this was a very interesting
When George first spoke to me about Boba Fett, he immediately said, I cast this amazing actor from New Zealand called Tamura Morrison to play Jango Fett. He said, if you ever do Boba Fett, you should cast Tamura to play Boba because he's such a remarkable actor.
I find that interesting. I would love to know when that conversation actually happened. Were they discussing the series with George, or did just the topic of Boba Fett come up?
Can I just say that I don't believe a word that comes out of this woman's mouth? I mean,
her track record is not that great. So, but
it's a lovely thought. It's a lovely thought, and it doesn't mean that it's not true from the standpoint of Tem is great. He does own the role. All of that is true, and maybe George loved him. It's very likely George loved him. But I'm with you. I started. Well, when would this conversation have occurred, Kathleen? When?
Yeah.
Before or after you shove the knife in George's back? I mean, come on. I just don't think they're sitting there breaking story beats or projects with George.
No, they're not.
Boba Fett's
but there has
reemergence-
been consultation. Even after George walked away and did that 60 Minutes interview, there has been Lucas consultation happening with certain members of the Star Wars team. I'm just interested about when Kathleen and George discussed Tim Morrison. Was this at a point when George was like considering doing a Boba spin-off on his own? Was this when the Josh Trank thing was happening? Is this with this specific
I forgot
series?
about the Boba movie.
And
that
she does
could
say,
line up. That could line up.
And she does say, if you ever do a thing about Boba Fett, you should cast Tim Morrison.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, you're doing a Boba Fett, you need to cast Tim Morrison. It wasn't like that. It was kind of vague. But I just, I love any hints to George Lucas's involvement or influence coming into play with new Star Wars series and stuff. Anything to kind of maintain that integrity is good by me.
Yeah. I when you mentioned the Boba Fett film, immediately I go, okay, that timeline might actually add up. But I was just thinking, with respect to even Mando, because obviously Boba resurfaced in The Mandalorian, not in his, in his own series. In that season 1, was that the finale? No, it wasn't the finale of season 1. It was
no, it was like the third to last episode. The tragedy, which I think it was about the third to last. But a lot of things have been said about Boba not being the Boba Fett we've always known in the Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
Not my Boba. That's not Boba. How could he be that way? How could he be the bounty hunter with the heart of gold?
Right.
Well, Dave Filoni talked a little bit about that evolution.
Did he now?
The thing with Boba is that once he goes down into the Sarlacc pit, once he's in the subterranean world, the underworld, that transitional moment changes someone. I mean, how could it not? And you have an opportunity for him to come out on the other side and make a choice about what kind of person he wants to be.
Mm-hmm. I do want to say something, and this clip reminded me of it. As I was watching this Disney Gallery Book of Boba Fett, obviously I was thinking about all the commentary that we did on this series through the after shows and listening to listeners' praises and criticisms and all of that. And something that I need to remind myself, and it takes a show like the Disney Gallery for you to kind of remember that there's an extraordinary number of very talented people that are working very, very hard on this stuff. And sometimes, and again, I'm talking to myself here, I have a tendency to think that they just threw this together, or they just carelessly did this or didn't do that. I think you can seriously debate whether or not decisions were good or bad. Obviously, we can debate that as fans. But when you see something like this Disney Gallery, nothing on a series like this happens by accident.
That's right.
Nothing.
Yeah, these guys make very deliberate choices.
Yes.
And and I have a clip from Jon Favreau that's even going to reinforce this. They look at the characters from all different angles. Mm-hmm. And not only from like the Lucas online StarWars.com data bank entries,
Right.
They look at it, they'll look at the expanded universe. They'll look at all of the incarnations of the character throughout the history of Star Wars and try to find the best approach to it. Now, this is very unlike the approach Rian Johnson took to The Last Jedi, where he was fine with upsetting half the audience. He was fine with subverting expectations. He was down with changing the entire vibe of Star Wars to a degree. That was a very specific move to take Star Wars outside the box and into a different direction. That is not the approach guys like Filoni and Favreau take, because they're more steeped in Star Wars. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They're looking to make the wheel durable and last longer. And so here's Jon Favreau, who expands on what Filoni is talking about. about the necessity to create evolution for the character of Boba Fett. Because if you don't, you're not going to have many storytelling opportunities. Here's Favreau.
As much fun as it is to think about a character who has questionable morality blasting his way through the galaxy, that only goes so far. You can't really explore storylines. It sounds good, but when you actually zoom in and explore what's going on with that character, if that character is just a lawless character who is doing really cool action sequences, that's not Star Wars. Star Wars has to be about each character facing certain obstacles, usually emotional ones as well as physical ones. You know, there may be a villain you're facing off, but if there's no internal conflict going on with a character, you're losing half of what makes it impactful. And so we found a way to hopefully preserve the edginess of the character, how good they are at what they do, that they were a top bounty hunter in the galaxy that was being hired by Darth Vader.
Yeah. John puts it really, really well.
He does. I think there's some room to do the one-dimensional character, the character driven by bounty hunting and maybe even make it, a bounty hunt of the week sort of series, where he goes on different individual adventures throughout the week. But these guys are more concerned with character.
They're very
they really
concerned with character.
They're really concerned with character, and they want to create as many character opportunities as possible, as opposed to having Boba just being like a video game character with a one-track mind.
I think that Favreau is right when you're talking about a lead character. I think that you could have a bounty of the week kind of thing if it was maybe about a group of bounty hunters or a team of bounty hunters focusing on one character for an entire series where all he does is, shoot him up, bring him in hot, bring him in cold or whatever. I don't know if that does have a long life. I kind of agree with Favreau here. If you're going to zoom in as closely on a character as you need to in order for them to helm and anchor a weekly series, it could get a little thin. It could get a little repetitive. But Jim, you and I grew up in, the 70s and the 80s where we were used to television, that format, Knight Rider, A-Team, $6 Million Man, Incredible Hulk, where it was sort of, there's the adventure of the week. Yeah. There wasn't a lot of, there wasn't a lot of character growth in the $6 Million Man or the A-Team or Knight Rider, or Airwolf or Baywatch. But there was growth of other things, but not necessarily character growth.
Chips.
So we're not strange to that concept. Neither would a guy like Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni be, for that matter. They grew up in the same eras. Mm-hmm. But I get what he's saying. The one thing I would say, I think where there's room for critique is how well did they maintain that edge? Because he says we think we maintained that edge while also doing this. One might argue that there wasn't enough edge for Boba Fett.
Well, even the characters within the fiction itself question Boba constantly.
Yes.
Fennec Shand questions Boba. The 88 droid questions Boba. He does things out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not lost on the characters within the actual story itself that he's not acting like the old Boba Fett we've always known. I mean, it's the nature of the story. And
it's not lost on us, and it's not lost on the characters inside the story either.
I still would have liked to see like Boba Fett in his prime, hunting down bounties. Sure, he doesn't talk that much, but you start throwing other bounty hunters in the mix like Dengar, Bosk, all these classic characters. 4-LOM coming up in the Kenobi series.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time before we get those characters anyway. I would love to just have it all thrown into a Boba Fett stew, showing him as the bounty hunter working for the Empire. That's the other thing. is that they're committed to the Mandalorian timeline.
Yeah.
That is all they're going to explore at this time, is the Mandalorian timeline for Boba Fett. So they're not going to do any flashbacks to him being the bounty hunter. I would have preferred a series featuring Boba looking for some big bounty and going on little adventures, side adventures on the way, running into classic characters, dealing with Darth Vader, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not where they where their heads are at right now. In fact, well, with the exception of Kenobi, they're not setting anything firmly down in the timeline of the original trilogy.
Well, Andor, which will be in
Andor
the same
will
timeline essentially as the Kenobi.
Right.
Andor, between the two trilogies.
Yes. But you'd almost want something like, like a Boba Fett series. You're talking about maybe something prior to Empire Strikes Back. So like something in between A New Hope and Empire. And
yeah. I want to see him in his prime, hunting down bounties and stuff. I did hear that we're going to be seeing footage of Andor at Star Wars Celebration. That shouldn't be a big surprise to anyone, but that's going to be happening.
Two things that jumped out at me about, and I don't see it on the rundown, so I think it's safe to mention here real quick, that jumped out at me at the Disney Gallery. By the way, it's a great, 90-minute special or 80 minutes or however long it is. It's really, really good. I had it on, and the kids were watching it too, and they were pretty interested in it. One, at the end, they show, or at some point, they show a clip of when they rap. They rap and they go, and that's the end of season 1. So I thought that was interesting. So, and the other thing I thought was interesting is the lizard that went up the nose didn't get any reference in this. They didn't talk about it at all.
He was a good actor.
Well, I don't
deserved, probably should have gotten an Emmy, or at least an Emmy nomination.
For crawling up Tem's nose. No, I just thought it was a wild scene, and I thought, gosh, surely they're going to talk about that. It was a weird choice. I don't know Robert Rodriguez very, very well. I obviously I don't know him personally, but I don't know him as a personality. So it was cool for me to get to know him through this, know that he's a musician, that he uses music as a way to connect to his actors. That was pretty cool. And so there were some clips of him having a little jam session with Tem Morrison, Tem playing the acoustic guitar. And so he seems like a real likable guy, and his passion and love for Star Wars is undeniable. It doesn't come across as phony at all. He's another guy that seems, I think, real sincere about his love of Star Wars.
He seems like a cool dude.
Yeah.
Lots of good stuff there. Something that really jumped out at me, of course, I was looking for more information about the appearance of Luke Skywalker.
Oh, yeah.
In the show, and I was really surprised to see that Mark Hamill was on set in wardrobe.
Amazing.
Acting out through all of out the scenes.
Yeah.
With the puppet Grogu and everything. And then, of course, they had a stand-in and work digital magic over all of that. But there Mark was. And he had, like a really, really funky looking attempt at his young Luke haircut going on.
He was committed.
He styles his hair very differently than the way he did when appearing in Return of the Jedi.
Right.
And so it was a really interesting. I was like, oh my God, is that a wig? There's something that just doesn't look natural about that. But no, I think it was his real hair. Of course, Dave Filoni knows so much about the character of Luke Skywalker, so I like this clip a lot because they talk about Luke as he has evolved in this timeline to where now he is passing on what he learned as Yoda requested him to do, and he has become a teacher. And they make some cool comparisons to Qui-Gon Jinn in here. So let's hear this clip. Here's Mark Hamill and Dave Filoni talking about Luke Skywalker, the teacher.
The symmetry of being trained by that species and then taking one of the same kind to train was very satisfying. Luke has to suppress the sentimental side and be as professional as he can to try and imbue his student with the values that he's going to need if he's going to be a Jedi Master.
I've always felt with Luke that he is a step more on kind of the Qui-Gon Jinn path, even though he didn't really know Qui-Gon. But if you go, Qui-Gon taught Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan taught Luke, you can get that kind of methodology there. It's also interesting because Qui-Gon taught Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan taught Anakin. So Obi-Wan teaches father and son, which I find compelling. And then father teaches Ahsoka. Very compelling.
Yeah.
So it all ties together.
Did you follow that math?
I loved what Mark said about Yoda training Luke and then Luke training a member of Yoda's species.
Yeah.
That's something I never really thought about, and it's right there in front of you.
Right.
And then the way things all wrap around where Luke is now kind of taking on this Qui-Gon Jinn type role where he is interpreting the Jedi code and all of that stuff to fit his own means and looking for a higher source that might guide him. I think that's what Qui-Gon was doing. And Qui-Gon trained Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan trained Luke. So Anakin trained Ahsoka, and now Ahsoka is reporting to Luke. So it's, all that synergy going on. And it's, as Filoni says, it is very compelling when you start breaking it all down. And of course, Jason, you mentioned that Robert Rodriguez pulled out the guitars. Tim Morrison, we know he's a musician. So here's a little taste of the Bantha Blues.
I'm cruising on my Bantha on the sands of Tatooine. Yes, I'm cruising on my Bantha on the sands of Tatooine. I'm looking for Mos Eisley, the Pike Syndicate's waiting for me. And Robert Rodriguez, take it away, brother.
They were having a good time. They were having a good time. That's something that you notice in this documentary is it really did seem like there was a great feeling on the set. And, Ming-Na Wen geeking out. I mean, she is a legit fan. She was having a ball working with, being there on set with Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. It was a pinch me kind of moment for her. And Tim Morrison, I mean, just if you had to get up and go to work with somebody every day, I mean, Tim Morrison would be a great guy, no matter what you're doing, because it seems like he's always got a smile or a great positive spin on things, and just a dude that's cruising through life. I love people like that just have that infectious kind of joy, chill attitude. I wouldn't want to be on his bad side, though. Something tells me I wouldn't want to. If you really push the guy, I wouldn't want to do that.
I'll tell you what, if you want a glimpse of some really raw Tim Morrison, check out the film Once Were Warriors. And that will present a Tim Morrison that you are not very familiar with. And it was a huge film in New Zealand, Once Were Warriors. I think for a time it was the highest grossing film in the history of New Zealand box office. Also starring Rena Owen, who was Tan Wee in episode 2.
Who? I'm sorry, who?
Dad, Tan Wee's here! Tan Wee.
You have to say it that way.
The new Star Wars Insider magazine came out, hit stands recently, and there's a interview with Rena Owen in that magazine. And the title of the interview is Tan Wee's here!
Perfect.
And I thought, wow, that's just wonderful. Logan's going to kill me one of these days. He really is.
Rebel Force Radio.
You've already made that Star Wars reference.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars parody!
Oh, Star Wars and pop culture, where we cover when Star Wars shows up in the darndest places. And
craziest.
And the epitome, I think, we just uncovered. Star Wars is everywhere, even in the courtroom of the big Johnny Depp trial against Amber
Johnny
Heard.
Depp, Amber Heard.
Wow.
You know, oh my goodness. What mayhem is going on in this courtroom with Johnny Depp on the stand? Unbelievable. I've been watching it here and there. I was really interested when Johnny was on the stand. And Amber was on the stand this week, and there's been lots of witnesses. And loyal RFR listener Chris Fisher, he's been with us for a long time. Chris reported to us there was a bit of Star Wars pop culture at the Johnny Depp trial. I couldn't believe it when I got this email, but I saw the video, and sure enough, witness Richard Marx, who apparently is he's a legal counsel to some of the biggest names in Hollywood.
Oh, not 80s pop star Richard Marx?
No, not Marx with an X. Not Marx with an X. Marx, M-A-R-K-S.
Okay.
And he's, as I said, a high-powered attorney who works in the entertainment field and has for several decades, going all the way back to the 70s when he represented George Lucas. And I believe, to put this conversation in some kind of context, I believe that they were discussing how film merchandising is such a big machine. And perhaps even trying to make a case for Johnny Depp maintaining his royalties for all of the Pirates of the Caribbean stuff, which we know Disney markets the hell out of, and there's tons of merch with Johnny's likeness and everything. That's what I think they were talking about.
Makes
I only
sense.
have this clip, but you'll hear this witness, Richard Marx, bring up a moment in time when he was representing George Lucas, and so here is the clip.
I'll never forget, I'm the second chair attorney in a big conference room at Fox, and we're trying to close a deal for our young client, George Lucas, to make a film called Star Wars, a Western space movie. And Fox would not give us the budget or the salary he wanted. And this is the God's honest truth. We said, okay, give us the merchandising. And famously, they gave us the merchandising because they didn't think there was value there. And that's how much our business has changed.
So I think he was just on the stand to sort of give demonstration of how the industry has changed in terms of merchandising and how lucrative it now is.
Right, because a lot of this is about wages that Johnny Depp has lost as a result of this, with these allegations that Amber Heard has been tossing at him, and yeah. So not only he's out of two big franchises, the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, the Harry Potter franchise, with the those movies outside whatever it is, outside the Harry Potter proper storyline. But anyway, again, lots of merch for both of those, and so that's a big part of what they rely on for their salary.
Yeah. So, Chris Fisher, he's sitting there watching the Johnny Depp trial, and all of a sudden they start talking about George Lucas and Star Wars, and they show Depp sitting there while this guy's talking. He brings up George Lucas and Star Wars, and Depp starts laughing. He's just, he's like, Star Wars mentioned in my trial. Yeah.
I'm going to get on Rebel Force Radio. I know it.
The Star Wars and pop culture's mine. I can't wait to hear the guys at Rebel Force Radio talk about Star Wars and my trial. Johnny Depp, always entertaining. And this whole thing is just a real sad display of greed and ego and just how Hollywood turns people into monsters. Who really just,
are there monsters going in? I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, or something. Maybe that's what it is. I saw you cringe when I said that. I shouldn't say people in Hollywood are monsters. That's not right. But it's a tough industry, man. It
definitely is. I think it is difficult to hold on to your soul. There are a lot of industries like that. But yeah. Well, if those two crazy kids can't make it, what hope do the rest of us have?
We have this one here from The Tonight Show. Tom Hiddleston, who's a Loki Jason. Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah.
He was proving to Jimmy Fallon that he is such a great actor he can cry on demand. So I think Jimmy said, well, I'm going to throw a topic at you, and I want you to cry here on the stage of The Tonight Show. And so Jimmy, to really throw a wrench into the works, decided to use Baby Yoda as the subject matter, because who's going to weep over Baby Yoda? I mean, Baby Yoda is so cute and wonderful, and how could anyone elicit a negative emotional response over Baby Yoda? But maybe he's just so cute that he brings out that emotion from people. But well, so let's hear how this goes down. Tom Hiddleston cries over Baby Yoda on The Tonight Show.
Jimmy, is everything okay?
Yeah, I guess so. I just can't. Baby Yoda is so cute.
Jimmy, the thing about Baby...
He is really tearing up here.
Oh, yeah.
The thing about Baby Yoda is that...
Yoda.
I just love him.
Oh my God! That is how you do it right there! Oh my God! Bro! Tom Hiddleston, everybody!
I think there's
All right,
a game show in this. You know, they can call it Whose Cry Is It Anyway? And you just throw out a topic and you have to cry about it.
Yeah, make me cry.
Make me cry.
Or yeah, I don't know. What could, make me laugh, make me cry. Tom Hiddleston. Now, granted, it's not like tears were flowing down his cheeks or nothing, but he clearly was glassy-eyed.
Oh, yeah.
He was bringing some skill there to talking about Baby Yoda.
Chewie, get us out of here!
Oh, that's going to wrap things up for us this week. Thank you all so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Thank you to our sponsor this week, the good folks at Indeed. Indeed. You are powerful. Yeah. If you want to get more Rebel Force Radio in your life, you could start by reading the novel, like Jimmy Mack is doing right now, the official novelization written by George Dean Foster. There it is. I love that it's that. I love the dog-earedness of it. You know, that book has been read. The pages are yeller. Yep. You can tell. It's like a textbook. It's like a textbook for Jimmy Mack. Anyway, if you want more Rebel Force Radio in your life, we'd love to have you over on our Patreon. Go to rebelforceradio.com, the website, and there's a Patreon banner right there. And it'll take you to all of the deets that you need for how you can support the show and also get great content in addition to the weekly RFR. There's exclusive podcasts that you can't get anywhere else but right there, including RFR Q&A, the Babu Freaks, Clone Wars Declassified Remastered, the Filoni Files, archive highlights, and so much more. And also, you get to jump to the head of the queue when we do our live after shows. You know, we open up the RFR switchboard, and if you identify yourself as a Rebel Force Radio Patreon member, we know who you are. We have the list. Tyler has the list. You just say you're a RFR Patreon member, and we will get you to the top of the list or of the queue when we take our next call. It is a great community, the greatest Star Wars fans in the galaxy over at patreon.com/rebelforceradio. YouTube is also another great way to have more RFR, youtube.com/rebelforceradio. It really is just in addition to hosting all of our after shows and things like the ICCC appearance, it's really an archive too of the last 15 years of Star Wars podcasting adventures that we've had together. So, you know, when we mentioned something like, we just talked about interviewing, who was it we talked about interviewing? I thought, is that on YouTube? It probably is. You know it. You just listen to the show. Those interviews, all those interviews are on, most of those interviews are on YouTube. And if they're not, send us a list or send us a note and say, hey, where's that interview?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
We also released the full show video or excuse me, full show audio. Now, you got to pay for the video. The video is for RFR Patreon All Access members. No, the full show audio is released on YouTube each and every week, Rebel Force Radio podcast. If you'd like to talk to us in between shows, you can do so. Email show@rebelforceradio.com. Voicemail line is open 24/7, 708-320-1RFR. That's 708-320-1737. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. Follow us. Like us. Love us. Share us. But above all, we just ask you to keep listening and spreading the word about Rebel Force Radio. We've just experienced so much growth. I mean, the podcast never stops growing, and that's because of people like you that are listening, discovering us, and then telling your friends about it. Other Star Wars fans in your life, please let them know about Rebel Force Radio. We are streaming 24/7, no matter what. You can always find an episode of RFR to spin at Apple Podcasts, iHeart, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon, Audible, Pandora, Samsung. Anywhere you can find podcasts, you'll find us there at Rebel Force Radio, and you'll find us here next week. We'll see you next time. For Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
The Force will be with you, always.